back to my channel. Heather Stamper here, and today is finally the August Book Talk Day. I know, we're almost in the middle of September. It is what it is. But I have lots of awesome books to share with you guys. It's Crank by Ellen Hopkins. I give it 4 bookmarks. It was written in poems, which I think is a pretty neat way of doing a narrative if you can make it work. There's some really good flow in it. The story is about Christina, who is a really gifted high school student, a junior, who gets introduced to crystal meth, also known as crank, through her absentee father and when she went on a visitation with him. She refers to the drug as the monster, and the person that she becomes while high she calls Bree. The alter ego does everything good girl Christina would never do, from cutting classes to stealing from her mother to attracting attention from sketchy characters that can provide her with the drug. Now, this was based off of experiences that the author had with her own daughter, which takes it to a new level. It's a tough topic, not gonna lie. So I can understand why people would be a little wary of it, but I think in the correct context, this would work very well. This could be like an alternative school type thing or college reading, because it would be like, yep. I did a re-listen of Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman with my husband. I've listened to it before with the author Neil Gaiman as the audiobook, but I found on YouTube, and I'll put the link in the description below, because it advertised that it was Tom Hiddleston who did the reading. I'm like, oh man, love some Tom Hiddleston. This is going to be great. Something seemed a teensy bit off. That's because the person who recorded it did it as a robotic voice, or almost like a Vocaloid, but using Tom Hiddleston's voice patterning. So it sounds a lot like him. It was still a delightful listen. My husband hadn't read it or listened to it before, so he really enjoyed the stories of Odin, Thor, Loki, Freya, Baldur, told with the wit that only Neil Gaiman can provide. So 5 bookmarks for the story and 4 for the overall voiceover. Next book I read was The Jungle, and this was in my PopSugar challenge of a misleading title. The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. If you go into this expecting a story about explorers or tropical wildernesses or lions and tigers and things like that, well, you're kind of ish, right? Replace tropical with urban, and lions and tigers with graft and sketchy practices, and there you'd have it. It would be about right. Set in Chicago's meatpacking district in 1905, it follows a Lithuanian family looking to find new life in America. And it reads like a documentary, like the author is following this family around. York goes from one grisly job to another to try and, make that money so that his family can get the house that they want and make sure that, the kids can go to school and things like that. The very graphic details of what goes on in the meatpacking district at that time is one of the reasons why I was very hesitant to read or listen to this book, because so I made sure that not to listen to it while I was eating or cooking, because there's some things you just can't look away from. The writing style, I would say, similar to Hemingway. I liken it to a reality TV drama. I give it 3 bookmarks because, it is good, don't get me wrong, but the fact that I had to really work around, my schedule in order to invest myself in it, 3 bookmarks, that would be why. Next book I read was another PopSugar challenge. The name of a board game has to be in the title, and I read Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo by Marlon Bundo. This was 4 bookmarks. This is also on the Banned and Challenged book list. Marlon Bundo is the lonely pet rabbit of Mike Pence, who falls in love with another boy rabbit. And his friends are really happy for him and, celebrate him. But, other people have the opposite opinion. It was written by the staff of Last Week Tonight. And it's a fun tongue-in-cheek or tongue seriously poking out of mouth statement about the LGBTQ rights. I thought it was very witty. 4 bookmarks all the way. The next one I read was The Talented Mr. Ripley by Patricia Highsmith, because it was in the reading challenge for favorite season. Now, my favorite season happens to be summer because no school. So that should have been a gimme. It starts in the summer, but it travels throughout the year. So, I was surprised when I saw the date that it was written. It was just like, wow, boy, was she insightful for the time. And I know there's like many sequels to the book. I feel totally satisfied with just this first one, so thank you. And in this first novel, we are introduced to Tom Ripley, who is super suave and handsome, has a silver tongue, and he is this young guy who just wants to get out there and take on the world of Manhattan in the 1950s, but he's kind of a hustler and thinks he's pretty slick. He comes from a broken home and gets branded a sissy, which 1950s, that's not okay, right? It's like his family thinks he's sketchy because he always bums around for money. Ripley becomes enamored with the moneyed world of his new friend, Dickie Greenleaf. This fondness turns into an obsession when Ripley is sent to Italy to bring back his pal from Italy to go home because, his parents really need him to come home. Mom is very sick and she could die, and it would be great if she could see her baby boy one last time. But he gets so enraptured by him that he's like, I gotta find other ways to stay because I'm living off of this meal ticket here, and this guy is so cool. I just have to be with him all the time. But is enraged by Dickie's ambivalent feelings for Marge, the lady that he's been living with, who's a charming American painter. So one thing leads to another, a little scam here, a little murder there, a little shenanigan, little stolen identity, just a fun madcap summer with Tom Ripley there. So like I said, 4 bookmarks. Given the time that it was in, that was written, it had a lot of insight and very much ahead of her time, definitely. The next book I read was Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. It's a social horror story for the PopSugar Reading Challenge. So the details are, Noemi receives a letter from her newlywed cousin who's been living in like this isolated, mountainous situation in Mexico. And it sounds really desperate and really erratic. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it was totally out of character for her cousin to, write something like this. So she packs up her little Gucci handbags and her fancy dresses, and she decides that she's going to go up and pay her cousin a visit just to make sure everything's on the up and up. The family she married into, they don't really know so well, so, could it be that they are in it for her trust fund? Could it be that, something isn't quite right? Did she just lose her mind from being isolated in, like, a strange place? So she heads up there in the Mexican countryside and not sure what she's going to find. Her cousin's husband is a handsome Englishman and is kind of interesting, kind of strange, very eccentric. Noemi goes up in there and the whole house is a little odd, but not horrible. They like to keep things very quiet, and it's like, and she's confined to bed because she's been ill. Okay, the doctor that comes to see her is another English doctor and not someone from the nearby village. So it's like, interesting. There's times where she's very lucid, and then other times where she sounds completely nuts, talking about how things are talking to her in the walls, and how there's a rotting essence all around. Check the graveyard, so on and so forth, etc., etc. Everything has to be kept quiet because Father doesn't like the noise. Okay, no problem. No talking at the dinner table, nothing. So when it comes to meal times, it's her cousin-in-law and his aunt and cousin, and occasionally the patriarch. But it's all very strange. They talk a lot about eugenics, and this takes place again like in the 50s. So she knows what's up. She's been to university. Noemi has been. So it's just like, I don't think this is quite right. This is not, telling me that I have good bone structure for my race. It's a little bit of a red flag. So she wants to try and get her cousin out, but nobody's having that. The house itself, begins to invade Noemi's dreams with visions of blood and doom and, growing things and just kind of ugh. So our only ally in this very strange situation is the family's youngest son, shy and gentle, and he really wants to help Noemi, but also maybe hiding some dark knowledge about the family's past, some sketchy details about who killed who and who committed suicide and why the mine failed, and etc., etc. As Noemi digs deeper and unearths stories of violence and madness, she's got to get her cousin out of there because she's not going to end well. Now, I liken this to Rappaccini's Daughter. If you've read that from like the Romantic period, one of Hawthorne's writings, it has to do with like killer gardens type situations. It's kind of similar to that. I kind of knew what was coming, but it still had some really nice twists and turns, so I really enjoyed it. So I give this book 5 bookmarks. It was probably the best one I read out of the month. Now, I did read and listen to other books, but they're part of a series that I'm just about completing. They're going to get their own video because there's a lot. If you like these types of videos, please click like, subscribe, and dingling the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.